Aloha and welcome to the Path of Me podcast. I'm your host, Wendy Hutchinson, and I wanted to create a sacred space for soul to soul conversations with people sharing their light through their passion, power, and purpose. Thank you all so much for being here. Let me introduce my next amazing podcast guest. Hey everyone, welcome to the Path of Me. I have the lovely Jessica Van Antoine. I hope I said that properly, sort of, joining us. She is super passionate about natural health and wellness, and really helping people to achieve peak performance in their lives. So I'm really excited to talk to you today. Welcome, Jessica.
Thanks, Wendy, for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, thanks for saying yes. What got you on this path of self-discovery and then service in this way to support people?
That's a great question. What did get me on this path? Certainly my own journey through health and, with dealing with anxiety and body image issues kind of my whole life. Um, I think my first foray into the health and wellness field was to become vegetarian. And I did that, I think it was my junior year or senior year of college. And I was vegetarian for 5 years, but I was like a lazy vegetarian, I just replaced all my meat consumption with like bread and cheese.
Pizza?
I was eating lots of, yeah, pizza, mac and cheese, bagels.
Yeah.
Um, so, needless to say, I was not getting the nutrition that my body needed, and sort of culminated in me passing out in public twice.
Ooh.
I had become so anemic. One time was during a yoga class, and I went from, mountain pose or like, arms straight up in the air, standing tall, and I just crumpled to the ground. And so it's like super embarrassing, which is like a weird thing to say, right? Like, I
Ooh.
feel like when we pass out in public, we shouldn't be embarrassed. People should be concerned. And people were concerned, don't get me wrong. But like my perception of the event was I was just embarrassed.
It's a wake-up call though, right?
Seriously. And then the other time, I was just shopping. I was in an herbal apothecary, and
Oh my goodness.
everything started, it like went down to tunnel vision. I started hearing like waterfalls in my ears.
Wow.
And just in the middle, I wasn't even doing anything strenuous. And so that time was even more
Mm.
concerning. And
Hmm.
that's when I really kind of woke up to nutrition. So, nutrition was my first step in this direction towards health and wellness. And I started eating meat again because I was severely anemic, and
Yeah.
then started focusing more on vegetables and a balanced diet, and I became gluten-free a couple years later. Um, let's see, sort of concurrently with that, I had a little like seed planted in my mind about massage therapy school. And I was bartending at a tea house at the time, and
I
I was
like
just
that combination. It's kind of like opposites, yet I could see how it could be symbiotic in a way.
right, exactly. So we did serve, breakfast and lunch. We did have alcoholic beverages as well, but like to combine the tea with the alcoholic beverages as people were.
Interesting.
But I
Hmm.
still got some of the same experiences that bartenders have where people sit on the other side of the counter and they just like pour their hearts out to you, right? And so I started thinking of and I so often would get the phrase like I don't usually tell people this, or I've never told anyone this, or I don't even know why I'm telling you this. I don't even know you. Um, and so I realized that I had some quality that people just felt comfortable with, and
Yeah.
they just felt like they could open up to me. And so I started thinking of ways that I can help people by doing more than just listening,
Mhm.
which I will say listening is a highly underrated way of helping people. You know what I mean? I think that we all kind of crave to be listened to. And so often people want to step in and like give advice and try to fix a situation. And sometimes all we need is to be listened to. But I was young and I wanted to help people by doing more than just listening. So I was exploring going to massage therapy school, becoming a yoga instructor, or going to grad school for transpersonal psychology.
Wow,
Mm.
that's a wide variety. That's like vast
Yeah.
opportunities there.
Yeah. And kind of long story short, the grad school like never returned my emails or my inquiries. I was like, okay, well, if you don't want my 100 grand, like fine. And massage therapy school was just the thing that opened up for me. I
Okay.
went and I found a school where I wanted to go. I went and sat in on a class. They were already in the fourth month of their 1 year long program, and they would meet every month for 5 days in an intensive style format. And I was in class the next day. The owner of the school, we just had such a connection when we met eyes. I literally saw sparkles in the air.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I
Wow.
had no experience with or perception of energy like up to this point in my life. And
Yeah.
so that was my first like very visceral and even visual experience of energy in
Yeah.
my life. And we had a conversation and I convinced her that I could catch up on the first 3 months of work. And I did. In the first month, I did 4 months worth of
Oh
homework to
my
catch up with my
gosh.
classmates.
Wow.
And yeah, that was really my like big grand entrance into this field as a professional. So I spent 16 years as a massage therapist and
Oh.
doing all sorts of other things. I became a teacher. I was a TA first in the year immediately following my graduation, and then a couple years after that had kind of worked my way up to be a lead teacher and of both massage therapy and shiatsu, which is the Chinese
Yeah,
medical
I'm
version of
familiar with
body
it.
work. Yeah. And then I did go on to get a yoga teacher certification and to become a certified Qigong instructor and meditation instructor. And I owned my own wellness retreat because as I was getting deeper into this field and helping people, I recognized the need for a more immersive experience. And I wanted to facilitate that
Do you
and
still
offer.
have that wellness retreat or
I
you?
do not. I do not. COVID kind of did us in,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah,
But we had some really amazing trips and some really profound experiences. It's a lot of work, and
it is. Maybe it was
yeah,
time to pivot.
yes, yeah.
Right.
And I also realized that I was feeling a bit stymied by my role as a massage therapist or even a wellness retreat leader.
Hmm.
That I had so much experience through my own, life journey, as well as my education and trainings that to help people improve their health in a natural way. And I felt like people were hesitant to listen to me. It was like they're like,
Do you
no,
feel like you were labeled? So they just kind of pigeonholed you and go, well, what would a yoga teacher know about this? Or what
absolutely,
would a massage
absolutely,
therapist know about this? So you, in their eyes, lacked the wisdom to be sharing wisdom, maybe.
absolutely.
What was your solution to that?
Well, that's when functional diagnostic nutrition came into my life. And it's a way it's essentially a certification to become a health coach using functional lab testing as a foundation for a health coaching program. And that has given me, so that's what I do now. I'm a functional health coach and I help people transform their lives from the inside
So
out.
do
So I
they
get
get blood work and then send you the labs and you get to look over all of their labs and stuff and then
Yeah, it can be blood
see
work.
where there's like deficits or where they need to address stress or like
Exactly.
because it
So
tells a story and I imagine, right? When you're looking at
absolutely.
these markers.
Yeah, absolutely. So blood tests are part of it. There's also, urine samples and stool samples and hair tests that you can do and saliva. So kind of all the fluids of the body essentially
Ooh,
um, come together to paint this picture of what's going on internally inside someone's body. So
fascinating.
yeah. So to me, it's not only this beautiful sort of package that enables me to utilize my entire skill set from the spiritual and mental and emotional side of things, but also into the physical, very scientifically backed, data-driven here's what's going on in your body according to these tests. So I get
Do
to
you
kind of,
find that they always marry? Like you can see how they both, because it's a mind, body, soul experience, right? This
Mhm.
human experience. So do you see parallels in a symbiotic relationship between both?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, for example, when people aren't willing to kind of do the spiritual side of the work or confront their stress or trauma or what have you, then the physical part of things almost doesn't want to move.
Mm,
And then moving the physical stuff kind of opens the door to, well, what's going on mentally, emotionally, spiritually? That got you in this position in the first place? What kind
right,
of behaviors were responsible for, were you using as coping mechanisms for what's going on,
right. And what are
in
you avoiding, right?
right,
Like,
exactly.
what's the core issue? It's not this.
Right,
This is the
right,
symptom, right? What's the core
right,
issue deep
exactly.
inside that you're medicating or avoiding,
That's right.
right?
Yeah,
What have
yeah.
you been noticing, through, so how long ago did you get certified in all of this?
About a year ago. Um,
Wow,
yeah. So,
amazing. Do you love
yes,
the work?
I love the work. It's amazing. The transformations that are possible and that I witness and facilitate are just
Mind
incredibly
blowing.
fulfilling. Yeah,
Yeah.
mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It's and to really, my whole goal, even as a massage therapist, was to empower people
Hmm.
in their own health and wellness. And so I'd give them stretches and things to do, even strengthening exercises, and I would point out, postural patterns and body mechanics and things like that, and give them things to do on their own as homework to sort of correct
Hmm.
these imbalances so that when they came to see me, I wouldn't have to be sort of treating the same recurring thing over and over.
Right.
But again, people, they wouldn't do it.
I was going to say, how compliant are they? Because
Not,
I
the
don't think
majority of people
if they
not.
don't see the value, like, or if they don't see the importance of every piece, I can see how they'd be like, well, I'm too busy. I'm not going to do these stretches right now. And it's fine.
Exactly, exactly. And so, there is this concept in Western medicine of disempowerment, right? Like even the
Yes.
word patient,
Yes.
like when you are being a patient in the Western medical model, it has this connotation of like, just sit back, be patient. We will tell you what's wrong. We'll give you a
And
magic
here's a
pill to fix
pill,
everything. Right, exactly.
right? There's no
Yeah,
explanation or exploration of the cause.
exactly. And there's no lifestyle kind of advice given. There's no, here's how you got here, here's how to get you out of here, here's how to
Hmm.
prevent yourself from going back there,
Hmm.
you know? And
Yeah.
that's what I get to do now is here's how you got here. Let's change some of those behaviors and at the same time support these systems in the body to regain function on their own. And then once they have regained function, we have established a whole string of new habits that will prevent you from getting back into that place in the first place.
What are you seeing the most? Like, what kind of things are coming to the surface right now? We're in such a transitional time here on the planet.
Yes.
I think there's incredibly high cortisol levels. I think there's incredibly high stress, existential crisis, people being kind of confronted with a lot of intense things,
Yeah.
truths
Yes.
that they have been stuffing and medicating that are just coming out right
That's right.
now. So
Yeah.
I'm curious as if what kind of things you've noticed, if there's a trend of the types of things you're seeing in your clients.
Well, that's a really great question, and I'm so glad you brought up the subject of stress because my work, even back a decade and a half, has I've always had this awareness that stress is the driving factor behind the majority of disease, behind all of the metabolic dysfunction, the rise in chronic diseases, especially among children in our country.
Hmm.
Um, because stress fundamentally changes the way that your body works from the inside out.
Wow.
Stress is meant to be a temporary state. It's a survival mechanism, right? Like we were living on the plains, pre-modern humans, pre-buildings and electricity, and say there's a saber-toothed tiger approaching from the horizon, kicks into your fight or flight response in your body,
Mm-hmm.
which is meant to keep you alive. So what
Right.
happens is your blood moves from your core out to your limbs so you can run faster. The
Mm-hmm.
focus of your eyes changes so that you can see farther. You can see that approaching predator. Your heart rate goes up, your blood pressure goes up, your breath rate goes up. And this is all, again, to keep you alive in that short term.
Right.
Now, at the same time, your body is utilizing all of its resources for that short-term survival. It is robbing the resources from long-term survival functions of the body. So, immune function. Your body doesn't need to worry about fighting off a pathogen or, like a flu virus if it's not going to survive the next 10 minutes.
Right.
Reproduction. Your body doesn't need to worry about, the hormones necessary to get pregnant or to impregnate someone else or to gestate a child for 9 months. Again, if you're not going to survive this oncoming attack, your digestive function goes down. Don't need to worry about absorbing vitamins and minerals if we're not going to live, you know?
That's fascinating. And so I can see how prolonged periods of stress can be
Exactly.
so harmful to your
Exactly.
biology, compounded by mental health,
Exactly.
right? Like
That's
it's
exactly.
all kind of interrelated.
Right. So you have these chronic stressors. So maybe the individual stress passes, but in our modern lives, we just get one stressor after another after another. We're all overscheduled. We're all too busy. We are all just spread so thin and being confronted with horrible news from around the world. And and our body reacts in the same way as if we are being chased by a saber-toothed tiger.
Right. Would you say mindset plays a big
There
part
is
in it, or
certainly,
core beliefs like, well, I have to keep
yes,
working 70 hours. I have to make this
absolutely.
deadline. I have to earn this amount of money. I have to, like,
Absolutely.
this culture, our culture seems to push people into these overdrive, overstimulated, overstressed mindsets and lifestyles, right?
Absolutely. And
Even
always in the
those
pursuit of more.
always for more, right? And then on top of it, they're like, well, I also have to take care of my health, so I'm going to get up at 4 a.m. and work out first.
Yes,
And so now
exactly.
they have a sleep deficit. So I can just feels like so much of it is driven by our internal belief systems.
Absolutely. So, well, it's both and, right? Like the internal belief systems of driving towards accomplishing and having, that I'm taking care of my health by exercising and
Right.
but some of the stressors are indeed real, right?
Yeah.
Like we all have bills to pay. We
Yeah,
all
of
have those kinds of
course.
obligations to
Hmm.
our children, our parents, our family. Um, And the mindset piece is an interesting one because, a positive mindset in terms of like the glass is half full.
Right.
Like
Right.
in every defeat, there can be a lesson. And so in that way, a defeat can also be a win, right? Like always looking on the bright side of things, being grateful for the things that you have. That certainly correlates with better health outcomes, as does a belief that your practitioner is going to help you, right?
That's a big one. I didn't think about that, but that has to be the one of the most impactful
Absolutely. I mean,
things,
that's the
right?
placebo effect, right?
Yeah.
And the
Right.
placebo effect is a real effect.
Yeah.
So what you believe influences the outcomes. And we see this, it's not just some woo-woo kind of airy-fairy thing. We see this in modern physics, right? So particle wave theory, like light exists as either a particle or a wave, and the expectation of the observer at the time of observing influences whether it shows up as a particle or a wave when it's captured. And I'm not doing the best, job explaining that to any physicists who may be listening.
No, but I think that painted a very clear picture, and
Yeah,
I'm aware of that. So that's incredible that
yeah.
you're able to almost marry the the practical side,
Mhm,
the medical side,
mhm.
also more of a kind of an Eastern philosophy, I'll just call it, where you are more in sync with your breath and your energy and your being and presence, right?
That's
So it's like this symbiotic exchange that creates the whole,
yes, yeah,
which is exciting. It means basically all of the things you went through were leading you here, which is
that's right.
exactly where you're meant to be, which is so fun and incredible.
Yeah, it is amazing because I always have felt uh, a. I grew up not in a church, not spirit, and not in the spirit. I wasn't necessarily atheist, although I did go through an atheist period in my life.
So did
Um,
I.
yeah, and then through my experiences,
Hmm.
had a profound experience of the divine and something greater than myself.
Hmm.
Um, but it came from sort of a scientific, like very rational, logical kind of background. And so my immersion into the healing arts realm and that whole Eastern philosophy was
Hmm.
very different um, and kind of mind-blowing. But I always got the sense, and the more that I studied, of course, the more you realize that, Western physics, Western science, and Eastern philosophy they are bridging the gap between science and spirituality.
Right.
So they're bringing it together, they're connecting
Right.
it all, and it's
Right. It's
just
not this or that.
right.
It's an eternal flow, a
Exactly.
symbiotic kind of flow between both. Like
That's
there's
right.
truths in both,
There
right?
are truths in both, and they are spoken in different languages,
Right.
right? So there's the mystical language of, Eastern philosophy, and
Mhm.
then there's the mathematical language of science. And I guess we are just discovering how the math is bringing us to the same truths that all of these mystics have known for
For
millions.
thousands of
Yeah,
years.
exactly.
Thousands of years. Have you
Exactly.
had any opportunity to travel back
Oh,
east to the
I
eastern part of the world and go into some of these um, herbal shops or talk to some practitioners out there or anything like
I
that?
have not in that sense. I have been to Thailand. I ran a wellness retreat to Thailand. Um, and it was a beautiful and amazing experience, but we were sort of sequestered at a
Mm.
very special facility. It's called Jungle Yoga, and it's a floating village on a lake, basically. So,
Wow, that's
yeah,
amazing.
you can only get there by a boat.
Okay.
It's like a 45-minute speedboat ride to the
Mhm.
facility, and we stayed there for 10 days.
Wow.
Yeah,
That alone, just being there sounds like it would change you, let alone going through a retreat in a
mhm.
location like that. That sounds
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah, it was incredible.
So what is your, if I were to ask you, what is your calling? Because
Um,
we all have one here, and it
yeah.
it sounds like you've landed perfectly in it.
hmm
If you were to put it into words, what would that be?
In simple terms, I would say the business of spiritual and physical healing. And I
Yeah.
had this revelation, wow, over 20 years ago, before I even
Really?
had any conception, yeah, of going to massage school. But I was reading a lot of spiritual books and really kind of getting into this development and this side of my life and just thinking about how we are the evolution and amalgamation of our parents.
Mm-hmm.
And in my mind, I have always had three parents because my parents got divorced and my stepmom came into my life before I could remember her not being in my life.
Wow.
So my stepmom was a nurse practitioner. My dad was quintessential businessman. And
Mm-hmm.
my mom, she worked in education, but I've always just considered her, but she's just a very spiritual person.
Mm-hmm.
So you combine the medicine, the spirituality, and the business.
So you had this foundation laid before you even could probably walk and talk, really,
Oh
Um,
no, I'm much older than I'm much older than I might appear. No, 20 years ago I was an adult. Yeah,
That's
and so
amazing.
it was my early adulthood that I had this revelation.
Yeah. So where's your practice located, or do you work on Zoom or?
Yes, I do work remotely with people.
Okay.
So that's the beauty of this kind of work is like I can work with people in
Yeah.
other countries, on the other side of the world, in other states, um, and and I can be anywhere, travel. But the lab kits are all shipped to people, to my clients, and they take care of taking the samples themselves at home and then ship the kits back to the labs where they're analyzed, and then I get sent the results, and then we kind of dive in from there.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fantastic. So you probably have a global audience then, if that's the case, because you can work with people in different parts of the world. And do you collaborate with anyone, or do you work solely on your own
Mm.
in this practice?
The practice itself is solely on my own. I do collaborations with other people just in having conversations like we're having right now,
Mhm.
doing Instagram lives, offering workshops to colleagues, communities, or teams. I've given workshops to like real estate teams, to advertising teams, to just entrepreneur groups, and most recently am going to give a talk to the members of the Chamber of Commerce near where I live.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I definitely, for my part, I focus on business owners and helping
Hmm.
business owners optimize their health because our health affects the success of our businesses as entrepreneurs. And I
Hmm.
think so many people sort of miss that connection
Yeah,
that you are your business's greatest asset.
right,
So if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not thriving yourself, then
right.
how can you expect your business to thrive?
Yeah,
And it's one thing, when people get really sick and they're so desperate, then it's really easy to kind of like make that connection and say, well, like I just can't function. And so of course my business isn't doing well. But even the sort of general malaise that so many people feel in terms of like, how do you feel? I feel fine. Or yeah, I'm like a 6 out of or 7 out of 10. Like it's not bad, right? 7 out of 10, that's not bad. But that leaves that, 30 to 40% more that you could have more creativity, sharper thinking, more focus, show up better for your clients, more revenue, right?
right. Why
So
not optimize that 30%,
exactly,
right?
exactly. I mean, if that's what every business owner wants, right? Is to serve their clients better and to make as much money as possible. So optimizing your health is sort of this invisible obstacle that people haven't considered that's getting in their way of them achieving their wildest dreams.
What have you learned about yourself through this process?
It's funny that you asked that because, of course, I've run, all these lab tests on myself.
Hmm.
And as part of my annual, like my self physical, to run tests every year and see how
Hmm.
things have changed and what I need to change because the body is always in a dynamic state. And most recently, one of my tests came back and basically said that I was burning out. Like all my minerals were depleted.
Wow,
I
that's
know.
interesting.
It was so interesting. And
Did you feel burned out, or was it
no,
just the tests were showing that you were
yeah, I didn't,
experiencing this?
I certainly didn't feel burnt out, but like we were just talking about, like I wasn't like a 10 out of 10. You know what I mean? I
Right,
was kind of,
right.
I was tired. I mean, I was exercising every day and doing high intensity interval training and doing strength training. But it was showing that my body just couldn't keep up with those demands. And so my body was burning through minerals faster than it is
Oh,
supposed to. And I think my mental clarity was not where it could be. The quality of my sleep was certainly not where it could
that's
be.
incredible
Right.
that were you shocked when you looked at those numbers? You're like,
I
what?
was I was shocked and sort of ashamed at first, but then I was just like, hey, and my social media, I posted it on social media like, hey, I'm a health coach who's burning out. So here's my plan.
I mean, we're human, right? So
Right.
we have ups and downs, and even if we're out front leading, we still have human experience, right? And we
Yeah.
still have some blind spots sometimes, or like you say, realizing you have burnout to some
Hmm.
degree. I mean, the beauty of doing what you do is that you are paying attention.
Hmm.
And when
Hmm.
you're not paying attention, that's where you really get into trouble because life will just hit you so hard all at once. Kind of like the passing out, right?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it's
Yes.
something is going to happen to shake
That's
you. And if you don't pay attention, it'll shake you harder.
that exactly. And that's kind of like what I want people to understand and take away is like don't let yourself get to that point where you're passing out in public or where I also had a
Right.
burnout experience at one point early in my career
That's so hard.
where I had this public panic attack. I just shattered and started sobbing like at
Oh,
work in a meeting in front of all my colleagues. I had to excuse myself,
oh my goodness.
go curl up in a ball on the floor in my office under my desk and just
Oh
cry.
my goodness. And you know what? You're not alone.
I know,
You're
I
not
know. But
alone.
I just, it was like the lowest point in my life. And I just don't want anyone else to reach that point before they start taking care of themselves, you know? Because if you don't listen while your body is talking to you,
Yeah.
it will start screaming and
Oh
you will
yeah.
be forced to listen.
Yeah. It's interesting because I feel like we're all kind of choosing our own path, right? And everyone's path looks different, and everyone's stress tolerance looks different, and belief systems are different, and how we relate to ourselves
Hmm.
is different, right? So I really think part of it is people have to be willing to accept help.
Yes. Well, first, even before that, is the step of having to be able to acknowledge that there's something wrong. Or if we're talking, again, with that concept in mind of not waiting until you need to seek help, of recognizing that you're not as good as you could be. And I think so many of us, we just accept like feeling fine or feeling okay or not bad, you know,
Yeah, because it
rather,
becomes normal,
right. Because
right?
it is
That's what
normal.
you wake up every day and you're like, 70%.
Yeah.
I got this. Good enough. I'll slam some
Totally.
coffee
Right.
and I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Right?
And you may be giving 100%. You're giving 100%
Right.
for
Right.
sure. But
Yeah.
that capacity is only at 70% of
Hmm.
what is
So you're
possible.
creating almost a deficit every day,
Right.
right? A slow
I,
deficit
I think of
decline.
it like a cell phone battery, because as our cell phones age, they can't get up to that 100%
Right.
peak anymore. And it's the
Mhm.
same thing with our bodies.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Yeah. Uh,
So have you made a lot of changes? It sounds like you've, through this journey of self-discovery and, finding your own w way to health and wellness and optimal performance. What would you say has been the biggest lifestyle change that you've made to
mm,
support your well-being?
yeah, that's a great question because for me, it's been so gradual because
Hmm.
I have been on this path for a
Yeah,
very long time. And so it's, a little habit I'll pick up here and then, and then another one over
right.
here and another one over here. But, I certainly would say if I were just to look at my life now versus
Hmm.
my life, like when I was in college, for
Hmm.
example, I had no conception of meditation, of eating whole foods and not
Me
processed food.
either.
I
I
know.
was doing all the opposite things.
Yes,
I was
exactly.
drinking beer,
Yeah.
going out late,
Oh, yeah.
dancing, eating pizza every day. I was
Yeah.
living the college life, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
So,
so it's, for me, it's been very gradual.
hmm.
But let's see. I would probably say the biggest change that I've made is becoming a spiritual person. Um, Whereas, again, coming from atheism. in my late teens, early
Pretty
20s.
big. That's a pretty big bridge that you traveled to get from there to here.
Mhm. And to
And
be being acknowledged by my stepmom, who is devoutly religious. She's Catholic. And she told me that I'm one of the most spiritual people she knows. And I don't even believe in God,
it makes me want to cry,
but
and I don't even know her, but I
it
can
was such an honor.
feel the genuine heart in that conversation
Yeah, it was
between
such
the
an
two of
honor.
you.
It did make me cry. I was like, wow,
Yeah. Yeah.
thank you for saying that because so many, some when this is maybe a blanket statement, that's unfair, but my experience of people who are religious is, that if you don't
Very
believe what they
black and
believe,
white.
right, if you don't believe what they believe, then they totally discount you and you're going to hell
Hmm.
and you're,
Yeah.
and I have a much broader view of spirituality and the
And
divine.
maybe you were here just to create that opening
Mm,
or compassion and understanding
that's
that
right.
it maybe doesn't only have to look like this.
Right.
You
Right.
know, there are millions of people on this planet and there are millions of paths up the mountain. And
Exactly.
I don't even like to use the term spirituality anymore because it has been corrupted in a lot of ways.
Mm,
People have a very fixed idea of what that looks like.
right.
But you can be having a spiritual experience as a marathon runner, or walking the
Mhm.
John Muir Trail, or
Right.
on the Camino de Santiago. You
Mhm.
can be having an incredible rediscovery of self and
Mhm.
connection to the divine without any labels,
Oh,
in
absolutely.
your own way, in your own time. And it doesn't have to look like anything because it's unique to each of us.
Yes,
And that's, I think, the beauty of the journey.
I agree. And I use that very same analogy of many paths to the same mountaintop.
Yeah. And it's amazing also what I've found how we meet the right people in the right time.
Absolutely.
Like you met that meditation teacher and that just activated instantly something
It did.
in you. It just
Mhm.
something in you was sparked
That's right.
and
And
activated.
and the day of my breakdown, panic attack, burnout experience,
Mm.
that day, later that day, a Qigong teacher walked into the wellness center that I was managing, and I had had some experience with Qigong before. This was a very specific style of Qigong called
Mm.
Shungjin Gong,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the Qigong of unconditional love.
Mm-hmm.
And he changed my life. I immediately immersed
Wow.
myself in that community. And for it to have happened the same day as I was
Right.
having this crisis,
Mm-hmm.
what a gift. And I mean, I feel so led to where I am in my life right now. Like even the functional diagnostic nutrition training, I was doing all of this exploration and research. I knew I wanted to move on from massage therapy. I didn't know quite what direction I wanted to go in.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman reached out to me on LinkedIn and she said, our backgrounds are really similar. I think we have a lot to learn from one another. And I went and looked at her profile, same back, massage therapy, yoga, breath work,
No way.
meditation. Yes. And
Wow.
functional diagnostic nutrition.
Oh, are you kidding
And
me?
no. And I asked
Oh
her,
my
I
gosh.
was like, what is this? I didn't know that. I thought you had to be a licensed practitioner, like a nurse or an
Mhm.
acupuncturist or a
Mhm.
chiropractor in order to practice functional health. And she said, no, this is the training that I took. I looked into it. They were having an open house this was like the end of May last year. They were having an open house that started in June. I went to all these events in the open house and then
You're
I signed
kidding.
up. It was just one of those like,
Oh my gosh, it was like
here
the
you go.
universe just like laying this at your feet.
That's right.
I
That's right.
do believe, well, because I'm very connected. I'm sure
Mhm.
you are too.
Mhm.
And I get messages all the time. And it's like, you're never alone. You
Right.
might feel alone,
Right.
but there's something higher with their hand on your back.
That's right.
guiding you all the time. And it doesn't matter what you call that,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
But there is a universal energy, whether it's your higher self, your soul, God, angels, whatever terminology you want to use.
Mm-hmm.
There is something there, unseen,
Mm-hmm.
but if we're connected, felt and known,
Yeah,
right?
that's
And
right.
channeled through us. But um, sometimes you feel very alone when you're in the challenging moments and the challenging times, and we forget that there is this divine and cosmic order to everything. And every defeat is a learning lesson, it's an opportunity,
Mhm.
it's humbling. Maybe it's to like point out that my ego was so strong.
That's
I
right.
was beating her down like for years. She kept coming back.
That's right.
Like another turn on the dance floor with that. I'm just like, what? I think that I had mastered myself and
That's
it'd
right.
just be one more experience and one more experience. And I was just like so till I got so humbled
Mm-hmm.
that
That
I was like, man, I need to be so intentional about this work.
that's right. And so many things are coming into my mind right now. But the lesson that there's always another layer
Oh,
keeps
yeah.
arising. And as much as you think you've done the work and gotten over like that particular wound or that particular story,
Yes.
it will come back and it will test you. Are
Always.
you sure? Are you sure you've really gotten over that? Are
Always.
you sure that subconscious story isn't still kind of running in the background? You know?
Life is such a mirror,
That's right.
and it
And
never, it never, like you said, there's never an end point. We're constantly reaching new heights and levels and shedding and releasing and raising our frequency and evolving and growing. And it's literally an eternal process. And I've realized after so many years, like the further I go, the less I know.
oh, absolutely.
I just feel like,
So
wow, I used to think I was so, such a wisdom keeper 50
that's
years
right.
ago, and I knew that much
I know. Oh, so
that
many,
I know
again,
now.
so many things are coming to my mind. The first of which is I was a philosophy major in college
Oh, wow.
and we had a philosophy club and we got
Mhm.
t-shirts made that I can't remember exactly what they said, but it was something about the only thing I know is that I don't know anything.
Right.
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 And then
Perfect.
the other thing that is coming to my mind is like as I was getting into massage therapy and my profession in the healing arts,
Hmm.
so many people, I live in Boulder, Colorado, which is a very, um, kind of hippie place, kind of
I have
granola.
so many clients
Cool.
out in Colorado.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And people were they were just so ready to call themselves healers and to be healers. And
Mhm.
I just never resonated with that title.
Yeah.
And I had many an interesting discussion with people about the responsibility, that comes along with that title and the ego, right?
Yeah.
Like you can fix this person, but no, that's not the case.
I mean, my core belief is always leading the person back to themselves and
hmm
empowering them because that's where true healing begins. We're just kind of a conduit and a
facilitator.
guide,
Yes.
facilitator, whatever, however you want to phrase it. But really, we're a partner,
hmm hmm
and I just saw so much of that spiritual ego in these communities
hmm Me too.
where everyone felt like they knew more
Yep.
or they were threatened by your light and they would attack you,
Mm.
you know, because we were mirroring something for them, our light really triggers people.
Yeah.
And it was really hard.
Yeah.
I journal a lot and I'd ask my higher self, like, can I change this contract? Like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I don't want to be the person who triggers or speaks truth that like just cuts right through all the
Mhm.
bullshit, and
Mhm.
hits somebody, not from a mean way. I'm just
Right.
talking. It's not intentional, but somehow some words came through me that just got right to the core of where they were betraying themselves and lying to
Mhm.
themselves or something. It would never be intentional. It would just be like a conversation. And then, you get a 6 paragraph text and hostile. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but this was just like a path for me. And I really struggled with that. I said, I don't want to play this role. I don't want to be that person. And it was like, you signed the contract and
Right.
you will be doing this for the rest of your life. So this is just building stress tolerance. You're going to have to trust that the words spoken needed to be heard, and that activation or trigger was for their higher good. Not that I would ever
Right.
go out and say that. I mean, I just lost so many people in my life as I was changing and growing. And I
Yeah.
don't know if
Yeah.
you experienced that as well. Like
Um,
communities fell away, people stopped
yeah.
talking to me. All this
Not,
judgment. I was
yeah.
like,
For
wow.
me, it's been less in those acute moments, but
Hmm.
definitely a continual shedding, a continual
Yeah,
reinvention of myself.
yeah,
And I've had to come to terms with the fact in my fifth decade here on the planet, I'm like, wow, maybe I'm a loner, where I've never considered myself a loner before, but I have recognized a pattern of my through my own self-development and personal growth journey, that friends kind of fall away,
yeah,
because
yeah,
I am growing and perhaps they're growing in a different direction, or
yeah,
maybe they're not growing. And
yeah. I
there's just,
relate to that so
yeah,
much. I spend so much time. I don't feel lonely,
right,
but
no.
I am very much alone in my practice and in my being.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like I live in Houston, Texas, so there's 6 million people out there, and it's
Wow.
chaos. It's
Wow.
energetic chaos.
Yes.
If I'm going somewhere and I'm very sensitive, so I feel a lot. I don't take it on, but I'm like, I need to go home. I'm
Uh-huh.
getting my
Yeah.
groceries
This is
and
why I
I'm
live
going
in
back home,
this is why I live
to
in the
my
mountains.
sanctuary,
Yeah.
you know. So
I have like progressively moved to smaller and smaller communities
have
for
you?
the reason. Yeah, yeah, so my husband and I live in the mountains now outside of Boulder, Colorado. And
Nice.
so we're in a neighborhood, but our neighbors are very spread out and the closest town is 12 minutes away.
Wow, it
So
must be so
it's
peaceful.
quiet, it's dark, it's amazing. And
Yeah.
going to cities is energetically taxing.
Yeah. So I live right outside of downtown. It's just kind
Wow.
of where we landed. There was a lot of density here, and a lot of the energy, that work I was doing was to clear, transmute the energy here. I've been here 10 years.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm kind of ready to move on. Like,
Oh,
is it clear enough? Can I go?
where would you go?
I don't know, but I definitely need to be in nature.
Mm-hmm.
It really calls to me.
That's where we're meant to be, is in nature. Our souls,
Yeah,
our bodies are meant to live outside
connect.
and be connected to the cycles of day and night and the
Yeah.
seasonal
I'm
cycles and
very connected to nature. And so I think ultimately I will land somewhere that offers all of that. I'm not sure where. I'm very open and excited about the thought of it. So
that's
I,
very exciting.
yeah, I know it'll happen eventually. I always
Wow.
like to ask as we wind down, um, if you have something that you could share that would really help anyone who's listening to this podcast, obviously to work with you. So give me your website address here
Oh,
and I'll edit it in, but also maybe just some words of wisdom if someone is feeling very overwhelmed and burned out. What is something they could, a, one or two things they could incorporate
yeah,
to calm
absolutely.
the nervous system or something.
Yes. Um, so I mean, I like to take it back to basics. And again, in the imagining of ourselves as human beings and the environment into which we were born pre-modern life, you
Mm-hmm.
know, we were meant to, as we just talked about, live in connection with nature, in connection with the cycles of the seasons and the cycles of day and night.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the most powerful things that people can do to reset their circadian rhythm, which means that will give them more energy throughout the day and also help them sleep better at night, is to get outside within the first hour of waking for at least 10 minutes. Get some natural light into your eyeballs. This signals to your brain that it's daytime, it's time to interface with the world. It up levels your production of cortisol, which is the stress hormone, but it is also the interfacing with the world hormone,
Mm-hmm.
right? And conversely, on the other side of that daytime cycle, then your body will be more attuned to the falling of daylight, to dusk, into evening, into nighttime, and that will naturally lead you into a place of sleepiness. So get outside within the first hour of waking and get 10 minutes of natural light in your eyes.
I love that.
Yeah. Another thing, specifically for women, that is very powerful to regulate energy throughout the day and regulate cortisol levels is to get 15 to 20 grams of protein within the first hour of waking.
Really?
That's when our cortisol is the highest, is
Okay.
that 30 minutes after waking. And getting protein into your body helps bring down the cortisol levels. So that sets you up for more even energy throughout the day, a more even mood. My clients who have implemented this often comment that they feel just more grounded. So they're not on this blood sugar roller coaster throughout the day with energy spikes and crashes.
Right.
So, and if you're not hungry, I'm not hungry first thing in the morning, so I just have a little protein drink. Um,
That's awesome.
and
Thank
yeah,
you so much for your
yeah,
wisdom and your time, and just
absolutely.
enjoyed our conversation
Yeah.
so much, Jessica. What's your website so people can find you?
Oh, yes. My business name is Phoenix Functional Health. So, like the mythological bird rising from the ashes.
I love that.
Yeah, so it's phoenixfunctionalhealth.com. And you can also connect with me on Instagram at Phoenix Functional Health. And I'm always giving away more tips like what I just provided, like how to have more
I'm
energy
gonna
throughout
write
the
that
day, how to
down
sleep better. Yeah.
so I can follow you.
Yeah, and as a gift to your listeners, I have a little adrenal mocktail ebook. Adrenal
Oh,
mocktails are beverages, non-alcoholic beverages that are specifically formulated to support your body's stress response. So,
awesome.
and they can be adaptogenic. So if you need a little more energy, they can lift you up. If you need to calm down, there are, recipes that will help you calm down.
That is awesome.
And
How do they find that awesome resource?
yeah, well, find me on Instagram at Phoenix Functional Health
Okay.
and just send me a DM and just, you can just put ebook in there or write me a note, whatever. I'd love to hear from you.
That is so fantastic. Thank you. I'm going to get right on there when we get off this call.
Fantastic. Great.
Have a beautiful day, Jessica.
You too,
And to
Wendy.
my audience, thank you so much for joining us today. I know there were so many bits of wisdom that Jessica shared. I hope it helps you guys on your journey. Be kind to yourselves and love yourselves. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye, everyone.